In this lesson I'm going to show you how to make this figure 8 link chain, and you can see this link here that makes the figure of 8. It's not actually soldered, so you can see how it's been cut there and linked up with 2 jump rings either side. So the inspiration came from making this figure 8 link chain. Now this has been soldered, and you can see these links here, they make the figure of 8 on both sides and you can't see the joint. So if you want to check this lesson out, go to the website, you'll see it on www.jewellerytrainingsolutions.com.au. Check it out. So we're going to start the project with some round brass wire that is 1.2mm thick. I wouldn't use any thicker than that. You might find that when you're purchasing wire it comes in 1mm or 1.5. So if that's the case, buy it as 1mm. You'll find it a lot easier to make the linkage that we're doing. Now the length I'm going to start with is 60 centimeters, just over, and that's because it's more manageable to work on pieces like that because we're going to coil it around this stake. Now, bracelet length, this is the sample that I made and I used the same dimensions, and this is sterling silver. The weight of this is just under 9 grams, so if you're going to start by melting your own metal, then if you want a bracelet out of it, then I would be melting around about 20 grams. The length of this linkage is in millimeters, it's 110. So you can imagine that would make, if that was double, that would make a bracelet, so twice that. So what I'm saying is get a length that is around about 120 centimeters, or start with 20 grams of sterling silver. So like I say, in this case we're using brass as the just to try this method out, and I do suggest that you do a bit of practice because it's pretty tricky to get the technique. Once you've got it, you've really got it, and you can just bang out these links left, right and centre. So I've got a stake that I'm wrapping the wire around to make a coil, and the stake has a diameter of 4 millimeters. Let me just check that for you. Now I'm glad I checked. This is actually 5 millimeters. The reason I got mixed up with the 4 millimeters is that I made one before the larger link one, and that's with a 4mm stake. So you know, if you want to make a tighter linkage, that's how it looks. It looks pretty good actually, the 4mm. So up to you. This is the 5mm inside diameter. So trap your wire and make sure that you start the coil square to the stake. So that means you just got to take it down the stake a bit, just bend it up so that it's square to the stake, and then wrap it round nice and tight. Each jump ring has to sit really tight against the next one. Keep it really tight and pull the wire as you're doing it as well. So first thing to do is to file off the end of the coil so that it flattens off this end and tapers the end of the coil. Now again, we go directly opposite and put the knife in on the second, between the second and third one, and then push it up and bend it open, being careful not to open the next one. So just stick my round nose pliers in, because this metal is a bit tougher because I didn't anneal it at all. Okay, once you've done that, let's put the knife in 2 along again. And going to very carefully bring the 2 links over and form the figure of 8 link like that. Again, being careful not to bend it out of shape like that. So once you've done that, then where we just opened it up at that point there, we're going to cut through with the saw blade. Being careful not to contact this jump ring here, so we're cutting the second one along and running it pretty straight so it matches the other end. And that's how it should look. What we're going to do is just file that so it's nice and neat. The first one is always the tricky one, you're just finding your way. So this one we'll try and get it to look a bit neater. So again, tidy up the end, stick the knife in on the second, between the second and third links, and then lift it up. Bend it right over. Stick the knife in again. And cut through, being careful again not to contact what will be the end link and the start of the next one. Again, just file it up. Tidy it up, knife in, bend it up, being careful not to separate the next two, and And I'm finding if I push the coil up against the bench peg and bend the two links towards me rather than the other way, it works a lot better. So hopefully that'll save your fingers a little bit of wear and tear on them anyway. And as we did before, just clamp it in the middle and push your burnisher or a knife into the ends, turn it around, do the same. Much easier without holding the middle bit. I'm not going to solder this chain, so I want a good joint on these jump rings. So the best way to do that is to use parallel pliers and chain nose pliers and grip the jump ring like so. Push the ends together so that they overlap and then line it up. And if you do it like that, it puts tension in the joint and you don't get a gap there. Now you can just do a single link between the figure of 8 links like that. It looks pretty good, and that's how I've done the other bracelet like that. Or something different, just make a load more jump rings and put a double link going through, which suits the design as well because it looks like a double link here as well, so it's pretty attractive. And if the links are a little bit rough there, then just run a file over, get rid of the tool marks, and use your buff stick, clean it up, stick it in the tumbler or polish it up, and you're done. Just keep going until you get the length that you want. And there we have it. The unsoldered version of the figure 8 link chain, and there's something quite therapeutic about making chains. I might carry on with this until I've made a full bracelet. Hope you enjoyed.